Hi, welcome to Virtually Sunday. My name's Tony Pickler, Mission Outreach Director for Resurrection Parish in Green Bay. I want to tell you a story about fire that happened to our family in 2018. We had just bought a house about a year before and moved in, lived not even a year, when a house fire broke out on a Friday evening. I came home to my wife and our kids who were home for the weekend, standing in our cul-de-sac with neighbors, watching the smoke come out of our house and fire trucks being called and on the way. That fire really disrupted our lives as it took out the garage and some of our house. And of course, we had a lot of smoke and water damage. And it took 2.5 months for us to rebuild and to put our lives back together. I think of the people this week in LA, Los Angeles, where so much destruction has been caused by fire. So many people's lives, so many things destroyed, so many memories taken away, just lives disrupted by fire. But I also think about the good aspects of fire. Think about the invention of fire way back when people were for the first time able to cook food or to make tools or to make weapons to protect themselves. Fire could have a really life-saving element in that case. I also think about our campfires at our family cottage. When we sit around the campfire during the summer and share stories and maybe drink an adult beverage or two, always building those relationships all around fire, all around this life-giving element that's been given to us by God. Fire's going to have both life-giving elements and destructive qualities, a lot like water when you think about it. I think of fire and those two elements of fire when I think about the readings this week and there's stories of calling that we hear. In the second reading from St. Paul's letter to the Corinthians, Paul is recounting how after Jesus' death and resurrection, the Christ appeared to Peter and then appeared to James and then appeared to the other apostles. He appeared to 500 people at one time, according to Paul's account. And finally, he appeared to Paul. And that's what called Paul to turn from his persecution of Jews to a life of preaching the good news. It put him on fire to go out and to share the gospel of Jesus. In the gospel story, we have Peter and the guys out fishing and not catching anything until Jesus shows up. Then the nets are overflowing with fish, and ultimately Jesus tells Peter that he'll be from now on fishing for people, for followers of Jesus, not for fish. A fire was lit into Peter, a fire of going out and learning from Jesus and following him, and then ultimately building the church. But what really has drawn me for this weekend's readings is that first reading. The first reading is from Isaiah, and it goes into the story of how Isaiah was first called to be a prophet. So Isaiah goes into the temple, and he has this mystical experience of God. He sees the Lord sitting on a throne, and seraphim or angels sitting near the Lord. And as the angels give praise to the Lord, the temple begins to shake, and the place is filled with smoke. And then Isaiah says, "Woe is me, I am doomed, for I am a man of unclean lips, living among a people of unclean lips. Yet my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts." Then one of the seraphim flew to him, holding an ember that he had taken with tongs from the altar. He touched my mouth with it and said, "See, now that this has touched your lips, your wickedness is removed, your sin purged." Then Isaiah continues, "Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, 'Whom shall I send? Who will go for us?' 'Here I am,' said Isaiah. 'Send me.'" A classic calling story. A simple ember from the temple fire provides the spark, the catalyst for Isaiah, who became arguably the greatest of Hebrew scripture prophets. He serves as a voice for the people during the most difficult days of exile in Babylon. And he sees the people return to Jerusalem to rebuild their fallen city and temple, providing hope in a really dark time. In many respects, it seems like a dark time right now, especially with the fires of California, the plane crash in DC, the continued disruption of Gaza, the continued war in Ukraine, and so many other events over these past weeks, our world needs a spark, an ember to take off and to catch fire, not a destructive fire, a life-giving fire of love, of peace, of joy. Each of us can ask the same question this week. How am I being an ember, a spark to spread the fire of love, not hate or division or destruction, but love? Let's be embers this week. Let's be sparks of love for our world, a world so in need of us and that love. Have a great week, everybody.